never want anybody to write on my tombstone, God, he wished he had another 5 hours to work. I want to be able to
Yeah.
enjoy what we've done and enjoy my family. And we learned a lot about expansion and that proximity is power. The proximity to people that are doing more and growing actually help you, and they will challenge you to grow more personally and business-wise.
Welcome to The Path to Wealth, the show about well-being, fulfillment, and financial freedom. And I'm your host, Hannes Henty.
Welcome back to The Path to Wealth. Today we have Michael Goodry with Cypress Advantage. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So Michael really has the mindset in the right place. He's built an ATM empire and is now building his next empire in the multifamily real estate space. And we're here to dive in a little bit and explore what it took him to get started and what he does to get it going forward, moving from here. So Michael, explain us a little bit, what did it take for you to go into the ATM space, in the 90s, long before times were like today? How did you explore that for yourself?
So we jumped in. We were trying to sell ATM machines to merchants, and we were selling them for probably $13,000, $14,000 a piece, and they were very expensive. It was hard for merchants to get into the business, so we decided to start buying our own ATM machines and placing them in these merchants' locations to prove the model, because there really wasn't a business at that point in time. Only banks could own the machines prior to, I think it was April of 96, because you had to be a sponsored institution to actually own and operate ATMs. And the networks undid that and allowed every individuals to own ATMs, because 7-Eleven wanted to own their own. So they sort of pushed that envelope, if you will, for us. And then we decided to hop in. We were looking for a passive residual income stream, because I was working as an X-Ray tech and MRI tech in the hospitals in San Francisco at the time, and my wife was selling real estate in San Francisco at that time. So for us, it was a hobby that got started at within 6 months. It was eclipsing my MRI X-ray tech salary. So we knew we had to shift gears and move forward into that. And I quit my job and went full time into trying to sell and place ATMs. And we've not acquired anybody over the years. We've only ever run it ourselves. We at one point had about 15 employees. We currently have 4, and 2 of us are me and my wife, and 1 in the Philippines and 1 in Nashville, Tennessee at this point. And we operate a little over 8,500 ATM machines across the United States, eclipsing a little bit more than 2.5 million transactions on a monthly basis.
Well, this is amazing. So how did you have that foresight into that new market segment when they were opening it up? Like, was it something you were around? Because obviously you were in a different space. Your wife, Samantha, was in a different space. How did you have the foresight to move into that?
So growing up, I always wanted to, it's probably, this is a little bizarre, but I always wanted to own laundromats, because those machines sit there and people come in and spend money and somebody's making money off of it. So I was like, how do I, and I, at the time we got into the ATM space, I was actually looking into buying laundromats and self-service car washes on top of our regular W-2 jobs. So I was always looking for something more to grow with. And when the ATM business presented itself, we were like, this is a no-brainer, and we just got to figure out how to move this. And then later on, literally a couple years in, I had a guy offer to buy one, and then he wanted to buy 7 or 10 of them to put into stores that he was operating out of. And all of a sudden we're like, oh wow, if we can find more people like him, we can make a little bit off of everything everybody else does, and we could really scale this to be something massive. And just a lot of hard work, dedication, and really going for it really helped us.
So you were looking for boring cash flow businesses.
Absolutely.
But I think people overlook this so easily. Like a laundromat, it sounds too boring, but it cash flows so smoothly.
Correct. It's the best part is we all only, like you, me, and anybody else that you know that's breathing and living, we all only have 24 hours in a day. And how do you make the most of that? You can't be everywhere at the same time to have all these different businesses. I mean, look at chefs, for instance, and I'm just going to use that one because I think it applies here. You can't, it's hard to make money as a chef if you're not actually in there cooking.
Yeah.
Unless you own a number of restaurants and you're like the head chef of everybody else that's doing it. So we only have so much time. So if we can find a business that operates outside of our normal day-to-day activities and makes us money, it's a great side. For me, I called it my side hustle, and it became my primary hustle while I was doing MRI until I couldn't do MRI anymore. So I could only put in 8 hours a day at the hospital, or 10 hours or whatever they required for the shift. But the ATMs continued to work even after I went to sleep.
So how long did it take you to side hustle before it actually became your full-time hustle and you were able to leave the MRI work behind?
On the ATM space, it was literally within 6 months.
Wow.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, it was quick. There was a need, and there was people wanted easy, convenient access to money, and that's the typical public out there. We're all looking for quicker, faster, easier, and we're willing to pay for it.
And you're a big action taker, not to undermine that part.
That's well. The one thing when I was doing MRI and I decided to get into the ATM space, my wife literally said to me, "If you don't eat, breathe, and sleep ATMs, we're not doing it." She goes, "I want you to be 100% focused on what you're doing, because this isn't just something you spend $2,000 on a machine and you hope you make money." We're spending, at that point, I think the machines we were paying like $4,000 or $5,000 a machine, where today they're a couple grand. But we had to find homes where they would make money, so they could pay for themselves, and so then we can make a little bit of a return. And out of the gate, a machine would usually pay itself off within 4 to 6 months. Where today, even though the machines are $4,000 less, your payoff time's a little bit longer because there's more machines. The transaction pie is still the transaction price. How many slices or how many ATMs are out there divvying up that same space?
So having such a nice operation, what made you think of real estate? How did you move over in building multifamily real estate?
That's been a journey, and I think the easiest way for me to explain it is, as we were making money in the ATM world, we started buying rental properties, single family rental properties, and then I was managing that. So I was like literally buying myself another job. And even though we had like 7 or 8 of those at one point in time, up until literally 2 years ago, if something broke down, I was the fix-it guy. And for me, I wasn't looking to do that. And the single families aren't as tax efficient, if you will, and I'll explain that in just a second. But we found out about multifamily after we had joined the Tony Robbins world, and a friend of ours, Brad Sumrock, we met him along the way, and he never really wanted to tell us what he did. And we finally go, "Hey, we really want to do this." And he's like, "Well, here's my home study course." It was almost like he was blowing me off, and he'll tell you to today, so many people approach him and they never take action. And when we figured out the tax efficiency of this, we literally went to my neighbor who lives 2 doors down, who was my CPA at the time, and said, "Hey, we're buying some multifamily and we're getting these tax breaks based on that with the depreciation." And he goes, "Yeah, that's been getting a lot of traction over the last 10 years. And I'm like, "I've been asking you for tax efficiency plays since we've started doing business 10 or 15 years ago." So literally, he is no longer my CPA, because every good idea he's ever had, I've brought to him just to try and figure out how to avoid taxes. And I was actually yesterday speaking to a gentleman at a fundraiser event with Danny Glover there and Lenny Wilkins, the ex-coach for the Supersonics. And they're like, rich people don't go out and find more jobs to make more money. They figure out how to save on taxes. He goes, because when you start making millions of dollars, you're paying millions of dollars in taxes. He goes, you reduce your taxes to a couple $100,000 a year or something of that nature, then you ultimately created another income stream. Because most people don't understand. They figure you go to work, you pay your taxes, and then you buy a house and you get a little bit of a tax break for that. They don't understand that you can actually almost eliminate all your taxes by owning multifamily real estate, because the government wants to incentivize people that are helping the programs the government wants them to help, which is housing for the people that can't afford to go out and buy a home. So they incentivize you by giving you the depreciation benefits on the front end of buying an apartment building to help you be more tax efficient, which will help you grow that portfolio even larger.
And I mean, the benefits in the multifamily space right now are just amazing. Is there anything similar in the ATM space, those kind of tax efficiencies or not?
I don't think so. I have seen some ATM syndications out there when they're selling you 5 machines for a couple $100,000 when I can buy 5 machines for 10 grand. That doesn't make sense to me. I don't need to put money in just to get a reduction in my taxes. I'm already in this space. So for me, and then you have to go find homes for those machines to make income so then you can pay the preferred returns that you're promising your investors. So I don't believe there's the efficiency in the ATM space as there is in the multifamily space. Plus, multifamily is real estate. I mean, you can go out and physically touch it. If I sold you an ATM and I go, Hannes, it's right down the street here at ABC Liquor Store, and you show up and ABC Liquor Store doesn't have an ATM because it only weighs like 300 pounds and maybe it wasn't making money there and I had to move it, but I didn't reach out to you and say, hey, I moved it. And you show up and go, I want to touch the machine I own. And you're like, Mike, it's not there. And you were like, and so then for
someone took my ATM machine,
and it could disappear. I mean, there have been known to find new homes, not on their own, by somebody else coming in and taking them, but where you can't really take a multifamily residence. And I have investors that invest in most of my multifamily deals, and once they jump in and they put their money in, they literally will get on a plane or get in a car and they will go physically touch the building that they're buying to make sure it's there. And it's just verifying what we're doing, so then they're aware that no matter what we're doing, we're being honest. And you know what? People are always like, trust but verify.
So let's roll it back a little bit. Where did your money making mindset come from? So you were working in hospitals at MRI machines and X-rays, but what drove you to that passive income? Because it's like not the natural thing we learn in school. Where did that come from? Was it a seed planted by your parents, or?
Well, the seed planted by my parents was I never wanted to be poor. I mean, I grew up poor. We were on food stamps. We didn't have money. I started a lawn mowing route when I was like 12 years old. And I got so many, I went and knocked on doors and took my lawnmower around the neighborhoods in northern Idaho. And by my second summer, I had so many lawns to do. I had to hire my brother to help with the route. And I figured out at that point in time, okay, if I'm getting paid $10 to mow it, I can pay him $5 and I'm still making money and he's doing the work. So it actually started from way back when my folks they just couldn't afford a lot. They had 9-to-5 jobs, but they weren't making a ton of money. So we had 5 kids in the family. So there was a lot of mouths to feed and not a whole lot of money to go around. So for me, if I wanted to have an ice cream cone on the weekend or go get a donut on Saturday, I had to figure out how to make that money because they didn't have that to give to us. And so my desire for work, and my wife will tell you even to today, we work harder right now I'm working harder than I ever have, even in the multifamily space, probably because I never want to be without. And I was actually told last week by a friend, his name's Larry Yatch, he's a ex-Navy SEAL, and he's like, well, there's the trap. The trap is you feel like you're never going to have enough, so you're never going to slow down. And he goes, there's so many of us that get caught up in this as we grow. And he goes, what do you need per month? And what does your investments make you per month? And I explained to him, and he goes, well, you're there. He goes, why do you continue to do this to yourself? And he's actually making me realize that there is enough once you hit a certain threshold. And it's hard. It's hard as an entrepreneur and somebody that has a lot of drive to want to slow down. I mean, I'm 54 years old. When's enough? I mean, we married my daughter off this weekend. Her new husband, or her first. Oh, thank you so much. Her husband's father is 70 years old, runs a 20,000 acre farm. He owns multifamily real estate. He owns commercial buildings. And I'm like, Dennis, when are you going to slow down? What's your end game? And he goes, my end game is when I die. There's never a day I'm not going to want to work. He goes, I want to do something to keep stimulating my body every single day to continue to grow. And I'm like, where did you learn that? And he goes, from my parents. He goes, we were farmers, so we always worked. And he goes, my dad worked till he was 92 years old. And then he passed away. I go, I just don't want anybody. And I told him straight up, I never want anybody to write on my tombstone, God, he wished he had another 5 hours to work. I want to be able to enjoy what we've done and enjoy my family. So I think we're working really hard. I think we're starting to figure out how to put a plan into place for slowing down, maybe selling the ATM company down the road. Who knows? But something's going to happen, I'm sure. We're actually in planning stages to figure out how we can do that.
And I think beyond the planning, there's also a point where you need to personally be comfortable with it, because I think we come from very similar backgrounds, and in my family, you ought to work. And like the idea of slowing down and doing little, it's almost like foreign concept to my parents.
Exactly. My mom literally, she's 86 years old, literally retired like 10 years ago. And she was a nurse at the hospital. She's like, and she worked for the government. So she gets an automatic pension every single month. And she could have retired literally 20 years ago. And she just didn't, because she's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I need to have something to do. And I think that's part of our generation and my parents' generation's mindset is we always need to be doing something, where the generation coming up, I don't think they have that kind of drive, but I don't know. I mean, it's yet to be seen.
But I guess there's multiple points to it. It could be like, for example, Warren Buffett, he literally wants to work till he dies because he thinks it's the most beautiful thing and most fun for him to do it. And I think someone like that, more power to him. He should totally go for it. But then on the other end, if I just work for the sake of being busy, I think I need to do more contemplation, because there's probably something else I should do with my time.
Absolutely. And in backing up just a little bit to that fundraiser thing that we were at last night, I think I like to live so I can give. And I don't know that everybody understands giving away money to charity to do better for others. And I think for me and Samantha, the more we've been able to give away, the more we've been able to receive. Because if you're holding onto it so tight, nothing can get in and nothing can get out. So the more you open up and share what you've done, the more others will share back with you, which allows you to grow. And ultimately, you're going to end up prospering more. And it's not always the easiest thing to see when you're not doing it. And it feels awkward because you're like, why would I just give away hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to these charities? And it's because those charities are able to do better work helping others than I could do personally with my time, because I don't always have the amount of time to give to help, but I do have the additional funds, which helps others to grow.
I actually think, and that's, again, it kind of goes hand in hand with how Warren Buffett looks at it. The number one reason he wanted to have a lot is to give a lot. And I mean, that's one of the reasons he has a giving pledge. And you figured out the same for yourself, that the joy really comes from being of service and giving and sharing. And I think that's such a crucial part to it, because otherwise life will rather stay or maybe be bitter in the old age when you try to hold on to it, whatever we worked for. I think being generous is part of what makes it worthwhile.
Absolutely. And doing these podcasts, I think this is the third one I've been on, which is beautiful. I love doing them. And a friend of mine that's in the Tony Robbins Platinum Partnership has seen them, and he goes, what do they pay you to do these things? And I go, nothing. He goes, well, why would you do it? And it's part of the giving back. If you have all this knowledge and all this life experience and stories that could be shared, where others can see themselves in you and it can help propel them to grow, why wouldn't you share that? So many people want to hold things so tight to their vest and never share. And it's not like I need some monetary response for doing events or sharing my knowledge or my passion for what we've done. I enjoy it just because it helps others to see themselves in you, and it helps them to grow. And maybe if they get one, like for me, I go to all these events, and if I can get one nugget out of that event that helps me grow personally or helps me and my wife grow, it's worth every penny you pay to get there.
I'm glad you touched up on that, because the reason we're here and why I'm doing it, and it seems to be the reason why you like to be the guest, is because I want to make sure that this is accessible and that someone that resonates with Michael and Hannes gets touched by the information we have to share, and they can take it into their life and, maybe learn a couple lessons from us that they would have learned the hard way, other way around, or information that wouldn't have been around to them. And there have been people in my life who've shared things with me, and I resonated with them, and that's why I think this is such a valuable medium to be put out there.
Completely agree. You never know who you're going to touch or when is this the time they heard that same message from another source that actually caused them to have a different course of action in their lives that took them from one level or one mindset to another, and it's really turned it up for them. So you never know who you're going to touch or when, and so if you continue to give, you'll continue to live. And that's just one of the philosophies me and Samantha like to live by. The more we can give, the more we live.
So what are some of the mindsets that really touched you? Something where somebody might have shared something with you in a note where maybe in hindsight, and maybe it took you a couple years down the road to really get it until it sunk in, something that really changed the trajectory of your journey?
So our trajectory really changed probably, I want to say, around October, November of 2019. We were finishing our season of mobile ATM events here in Washington State, and we typically would go to Cabo for 2 weeks and just decompress from the summer, because it typically would start in about the middle of May, and we wouldn't have a weekend off until the second or third week of October. And Samantha's like, I'd seen this Tony Robbins Unleash the Power Within that I wanted to go to. And like I said earlier, we had a company where we had a lot of people, and now we're down to 4. Well, there's 2 of us in this office, which is me and my wife. And then our others are virtual assistants that help us with the day-to-day operation. But her ideas were my ideas were hers. We didn't have any outside thinking coming in on how we can expand, how we can grow, how we change that. So we went to this Tony Robbins event, and I'm going to join you. She goes, no, I'll just meet you in Cabo in a few days. And I go, nope, I think it's going to be great for both of us. I would like to try it out. And so we went. Day 2, we joined the Platinum Partnership. We got around people that were always expanding, not contracting. And I think that's a major difference, is you're always looking to grow and not looking because if you're contracting, you're not actually letting more ideas in. You're actually trying to shut as many ideas out. So we learned a lot about expansion, and that proximity is power. And what I mean by that is the proximity to people that are doing more and growing will actually help you. And the beautiful thing about that community is we're not in competition with each other. We're there to help bring each other up. There's been so many amazing friendships that we have gotten out of that community. I mean, I'm still part of the community today. I was just at an adventure trip with about 450 of them down in the Bahamas, and my outcome for that event was to create 10 new relationships. I actually created 16, and we're actually on text strings and WhatsApp groups where we're still chatting today about different things. And it's not about doing more business. It's about how do we help each other bring each other up. And the Tony Robbins world really helped change my mindset and allowed me to know that sometimes you have to pay a little bit to play a little bit, but the people you get around when you join those kinds of opportunities really will help you grow personally, and they will challenge you to grow more personally and business-wise. So that's been the biggest mindset change in the last 25 years of business. And it only happened just a few short years ago. And that was just about a little bit before we got into the multifamily space.
You know what I love about that is you're already in a stage where other people might be on the contraction and be like, okay, that's kind of been it. I'm past maybe the halftime line for sure in my life. It's time to slow down. But you and Samantha, you went quite in the opposite direction. You put the foot to the pedal, and you actually took it to the next level. You doubled down, and you're exploring a completely different scope of expansion right now. And I think it paid off very well also on the financial scope, because you were expanding into other people's mindset, and you met Brad, who ultimately helped you shift into the multifamily space. So I admire that about the two of you, the level of action you took there in a stage where other people think, this is it, now it's time to sit on the couch and watch TV and eat chips.
I have so many of my friends that are neighbors in our California property, and they've all went from these nice 4,000 or 5,000 square foot big huge homes, and they've all downsized into condominiums. And the funny not so funny thing is when they were all living in their bigger houses, we were all friends and we'd all hang out and go to dinners and stuff. And now that they're contracting, they've sort of self-selected out of hanging out with us. To us, we felt like, what did we do? Did we make somebody upset, or what's going on? And another friend pointed out, he goes, you're expanding, they're contracting, they don't feel this like they're on the same level, or they're not looking to up level their existence. And it's not, he goes, it's not you, it's them. And don't ever think it's you, because you've done nothing wrong. You're just continuing to grow, and they've self-selected out of wanting to hang out with you guys. And so it's sad but that's the reality of sometimes where people's different ways of thinking, their different mindset can take them in a different direction, even on the friendship levels.
I think that's something that I've seen, that without me being intentional, I don't brag about anything I'm doing, but I'm doing what I'm doing. And it might make some of my old school friends feel bad, and that's probably something you've experienced.
Absolutely. It's sad, because I'll get a text from them on Happy Father's Day or Happy Birthday, but when we're in town, there's no getting together anymore. And so that's actually created an issue for me and my wife, thinking maybe we've outgrown this neighborhood and we need to move on to maybe another neighborhood where there are people that are expanding.
Yeah, find the neighborhoods where people are expansive. Where would you like to move next, Mike?
Oh, we're considering Florida, Nevada, and possibly Texas, but I'm not sure. We've been in California. We've owned our property there for about 8.5, 9 years, and we're exploring right now. And I can't move until I have a place to go.
Well, what are the kind of people you want to have around?
I want to be around people that are growing and looking to expand. It's always, for me, my personal development is huge to me. And people that think about their health, they think about their physical health, their mental health. I mean, the interesting thing is, a healthy person has a million dreams, where the unhealthy person only has one, and that is to be healthy. So I want to make sure that I am taking care of that. My daughter just got married this past Friday. I want to be around for the grandkids that I'm assuming are going to be coming in the next year or so. So
no pressure.
Being healthy is very important. Right?
You can share this episode with her. Honey, there are no expectations, but I expect a couple of grandkids.
No pressure.
Yeah, I think that's really, it's one of the reasons why I love the community that you and me are around, the masterminds you and me are around. It's because everybody there is expansive. They want to take it to the next level. They want to grow. And what I love about it, as you said about the Platinum community, it's not in competition, it's together.
That's the best. That's the best part about it. And out of the gate, you're like, why do I want to share my business secrets with others? And at the end of the day, good ideas are borrowed, great ideas are stolen, and Walt Disney didn't have what he has without borrowing somebody else's ideas of the beautiful amusement parks he's built. And look at where it took him.
Yeah, it's right. And I actually think the same is true for Brad. He would have never grown at the magnitude he's grown if he wouldn't have given it all out.
Absolutely.
Like he's teaching it, and that's one of the reasons he's growing so fast.
Absolutely. He's sharing the knowledge that took him 20 years to gain with a bunch of other folks to help elevate everybody. He literally would like to help elevate 1 million people, and if he can do that, congratulations, because that'll just make this world a way better place for all of us.
And that's one of the things I've seen. The level of action you took since you hit ground in the multifamily space is just amazing. So maybe you can shift gears a little bit and we take it to the multifamily space. What are your goals there? And also just shine some light on what you've done in the last 2 years, because you've grown a lot. You've grown a substantial portfolio.
So we started in the multifamily space looking for a great place just to park some money and let it work for us while we continue to work our ATM company. And after getting to about 5 or 6, 7 deals as a limited partner and understanding what's going on and how the properties work, how they generate revenue, how they grow, we were invited to come in on a deal as a general partner and raise some capital and help operate that building. And that first building closed literally July 20th of 2021 or 2022. No, it's 2021 because that was last year. And so we're coming up on our 1-year anniversary, and we have literally raised probably $40 million across 7 different general partnership deals that we're involved in. And our last one just closed literally July 1st, 276 unit building in Nashville, Tennessee. And we're already onto our 8th and 9th properties, raising again with the Garzas. So in short, we'll have closed 9 properties by the end of August. So a year and a couple months. A year and a month, 9 properties as general partnerships, 16 or 17 as limited partners, and we'll be a little north of 6,400 doors in less than 2 years. So what's our end goal? Our end goal was to take the multifamily money and try to replace our ATM income. So then we could sell the ATM company and then just focus solely on investing in more properties and letting that investment make us money. And the reason we really like multifamily better than almost any other investment vehicle is there's a certainty that people are always going to need a place to live. And if we can provide a nice, safe place to live, people are going to provide us a nice, safe return on our investments.
I agree. I mean, talking about taking action, this is massive action at its best. You've really taken on Tony Robbins' teachings here, and you took massive action building that portfolio out and raising all of that money too.
Yeah, and it's funny that we call it raising capital or raising money. I'm just sharing. That's why I did my limited partnerships out of the gate. So that I have a story to share with people that may want to invest in properties. And if they can see themselves in you in investing in properties and what it's doing for you, it's not like you're asking anybody for money. You're just sharing an opportunity. And the timing's not always right for everybody. When the timing's right, people are reaching out in the masses to put their money into these deals because they want their money to be making money while they're making money doing their regular job.
Yeah.
And that's why it's been such a great deal for us, because there's so many people that could never figure out how to get in, and us, and I say us because it's me and Samantha, we're always networking and always sharing what we're doing with others, and people are always going, I want to get in, I want to do this, I want to try, I want to put some money in. I want to double my income or whatever it is they want to do with their money. But a lot of people want an opportunity to grow their net worth. And I don't think there's a better way to do it than in the multifamily space at this point in time.
Yeah, it's definitely a great place to put money. So what are the things you want out of the, let's call it the second half of your life? Now, you've kind of figured out the outside success. What are some of the things you're striving for on an internal level?
Well, that's a great question. Coming right at you. I want to be able to enjoy what we've built. I would like to do the travel I didn't get to do in the first half of our lives because we were so busy in the building mode. And then as my daughter grows with her new husband and their family, I have the time and ability to share that with our future grandchildren. I think that's going to be very important. And then helping her and her husband to grow in the businesses they're doing and teach them how to grow their wealth by investing in products that are certain to increase in value over time.
That sounds like a lovely outlook into the future, spending time with grandchildren, helping the next two generations
and giving
understanding the mechanics of wealth.
Absolutely.
Giving back. So what are you mentioned charities and the event last night. What are some of the charities you like to support?
We support, it's called The Mission here in Spokane. They help people that are hooked on drugs and alcohol, and it's a Christian-based rehab kind of center. There's the one last night was Rise. It was called Rise, and they're helping youth from tribal nations to grow and expand their lives. Because like they explained to us last night, these kids, they go to school, get a high school degree if you can, hang out on the reservation and just try to be a good citizen. And that's pretty much what they're taught. And they really want them to teach them that there's more to life than just hanging out and getting a check from the reservation casinos or whatever from being a Native American. So they're really trying to help the youth know that there's more paths. There's athletics, there's college, there's all sorts of other things that can be done. And it's just a matter of being introduced to those things because they're not really taught right now inside those communities. So we give to a couple different churches, Christian-based churches that do a lot of outreach to foreign countries where they're helping people that are a lot less fortunate than most of us. So those are the sorts of things we like to give back to.
And then one of my favorite questions that I like to ask everybody, what does it mean to you, a life well lived?
Fulfillment. Success without fulfillment is failure, and feeling fulfilled in my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my God, and my relationship with my daughter, and my core family, my brother and sisters. I want to have those relationships in a good way where we are all getting together and doing things and just building each other up. That means a life well lived for me.
Did your brother ever find out about the $5 spread on the lawn mowing?
Nope.
Well, that keeps the relationship.
That's good. You wrapped that one back in. I loved it.
So, Michael, where can people connect with you about either multifamily real estate or with Cypress Advantage for ATM businesses?
So you can Google Cypress Advantage Properties. That's CYPRESS, AdvantageProperties.com, and that'll get you to our website. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can book an appointment to have a one-on-one with me to discuss what you would like to do. I can drop my cell phone in here if you'd like, 509-270-6701. You can reach out to me at any point in time. I'm happy to help. Because the more we give, the more we get, and I'm here to give, and I have time for everyone.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for your time. You're a massive inspiration. You know, the level of action you take since I first met you is just admirable. And I'm looking forward to connecting in person soon again.
Looking forward to seeing you again, Hannes. Thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you for joining us at The Path to Wealth. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Check out our upcoming guests and be sure to share it with all your friends and family that want to take their life to the next level of wealth.